And then and you know, I just started trying every building, and everybody had written something in every building that was funny. Like apparently in someone's imagination, I'm assuming it wasn't real. There was a someone dispensing free blowjobs in different buildings at different times at different days of the week.
Mm. Mm.
So that was fun to try to see if the person writing the messages was at least trying to be consistent, or if they had spread their imaginary blowjob giver too thinly, and they were all over the place every day of the week.
I wonder if in the future archaeologists are going to utilize the great amount of bathroom stall graffiti like that will be inevitably buried underground, after like a building gets wrecked or whatever, like thousands of years from now, archaeologists are reading about 20th century blowjobs and shit.
The reason I'm gonna say yes is because there was from Pompeii we've recovered graffiti from like the public bathrooms.
Huh. Was it the same kind of crap?
Yeah, that's the best part.
Awesome.
That was one of the funnest parts of my Roman history class that I took in undergrad. Was like because our teacher was bigger on like day-to-day culture as like the extra thing that you got besides like the politics and the warfare, the standard shit that you get in any class.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like it would like people literally wrote on the walls of the public bathrooms like so and so had a good shit here, or like go to this prostitute, she has the best prices. Like
nice.
Or so and so is an asshole. Like
so the first two I was gonna
little limericks.
I was gonna give them more credit because the way you said the first two had that oldie timey kind of properness to it.
Yeah.
But then just so and so is an asshole.
Yeah.
You see that everywhere, every year it seems.
So I think the efforts to cover up bathroom stall graffiti are misguided. I think people don't. I think people think that they're being do-gooders. They're trying to keep the restroom clean and non-offensive, when really they're actually whitewashing history.
I've always often thought about like what the difference is between various forms of like wall writing. So like the series Rome showed graffiti.
Yeah.
And it looked kind of cool and Roman, and that's sort of, I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
And like the Pompeian graffiti, same thing. I think that it's interesting and part of history. And cave painting, when people would just put shit on cave walls. Again, interesting and cool. And, if some tribal guy like carved a bunch of shit into a tree, interesting and cool. But all that shit we see in like inner cities on concrete,
right?
Somehow that's not cool. And I'm like, or modern bathroom graffiti. Like, I don't like the look of it, but I ask myself, why do I like that, but not all these other things that are just old?
Oh, right.
Like, why is it that because it's old, it's like more interesting and acceptable? Like maybe I need to reevaluate my position and just sort of learn to live with modern graffiti. It's just people doing what they've always done.
I mean, it's definitely people doing what they've always done, but it just seems like it's a different animal now, because like the old graffiti, like some of what might have been graffitied in the past has been taken over by like advertising, and now there's billboards and all kinds of shit outside that are advertising and that kind of stuff. I don't know. It also seems like the kind of graffiti that used to get, I don't know, put up or written places was a little bit more like the common stuff, and I don't have a problem with like what you're talking about, like urban graffiti. It doesn't bother me. I just don't relate to it. Like I see it and I go, what the fuck connection do I have to this? Whereas like that's why I like bathroom graffiti, because it's fucking funny. It's shit that you're stuck in this little tiny place that's a public place, and what kind of funny thing could you do to entertain the next person? Whereas, like, I see the stuff that other people do, like, on trains or water towers or whatever the fuck. And some of it's good, some of it's shit. But for the most part, I'm just like, I don't care. I don't live in an urban setting where I'm bored as fuck. I just feel like, trying to make my mark on public property. I don't know what the motivations are, so I guess I shouldn't even speculate about that. I just don't, it just doesn't, I don't know. pluck my heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make me feel anything the way the other stuff does.
Yeah. Well, I can't understand what most of it says, like the tags.
Yeah.
So that's... But also, on the other hand, I think of it as being tribal, and it's just a tribe that I'm not part of.
Yeah.
If I saw some shit on a tree I didn't understand because it was some tribe in, like, you know, the South Pacific somewhere, I'd be like, oh, neat, those tribal guys are doing their tribal shit.
Right.
But I see a bunch of crap, like, on concrete, and it's indecipherable as well. But for some reason, I mean, I just have a bias against it. Like, oh, you fucking animals. Like, but it's the same shit. It's one of those things where, well, I have a gut reaction, but then I have to tell myself, like, now think about this for a minute. You know, I guess that's a valuable lesson. Is my point. Is
right.
It's all really the same shit. Like, deep down, it's people leaving their mark somewhere in their environment around them. You know, it used to be trees and cave walls, and now it's just the urban jungle. So,
right.
Same thing, I guess.
Well, and it's also like you said, the tribal thing works because it's a diversity of experience. Like if you're talking about like Neolithic people that pretty much all have like the same survival experience. You can imagine them all having to relate to sheltering in caves and killing, you know, animals and worrying about forest fires. I don't know what the fuck. And the same thing with the Romans. Like they built public bathrooms and theaters and brothels and shit. But like now, you know, we can live such different lives from just people in the same country.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to sort of break up in these little insularities.
Now, on the other hand, I think one of the reasons that my bias exists that might be justified is the difference between private and communal property.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I wouldn't want some asshole tagging, like, the side of my house or the gigantic Bad Guy Labs corporate headquarters facility.
That's true.
I'd have to either go out and kick his ass or call the cops or something, start shooting paintballs at him, or etc. And you know, it's sort of the question of in the urban jungle, like somebody probably owns that concrete wall, but it's not like your house.
Right.
Like let's say it's like a flood diversion wall somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not supposed to spray paint that, but I guess it's a step down from a private house.
Yeah.
So people feel a little more like it's communal property, and
well, it's probably built by a government agency, whether an entity rather, whether it's the city or whatever.
Yeah. So in those kind of cases, I'm like, it's sort of annoying, but at the same time, you're trying to stop human nature. I mean, I guess the civilization and society is sort of what that's about, trying to stop human nature.
Right.
And organize us in a way that we're not really built to be organized in naturally, but it's good for us just the same, I guess. So I just have conflicting thoughts about it. I don't know if I've even really, figured it all out yet in my head, but these are the sort of things I think about because I overanalyze everything.
Well, that's how it works.
But it's fun. So it's sort of like piracy, how, it'd be great if nobody stole anything, but we know we live in a world where people do, especially when it's not taking an object, but just sharing an idea. And, you can either try to stop people from sharing ideas or just live with it and, build your model around it. So I guess like when somebody sprays a wall somewhere, like in a flood diversion thing, I'm just like, yeah, they shouldn't do that, but that's the world we live in. So, and in 2,000 years, it will be seen not as some asshole doing some annoying thing, but as like a valuable piece of archaeology. So,
well, yeah,
whatever. And bathroom graffiti is fucking hilarious. So,
so please don't stop doing that, whoever you are.
I guess in that case, like if I owned like a business where I had a public bathroom, I'd be like, yeah, you go ahead as long as it's hilarious.
Right. It better be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'd never seen more of it. I'd never seen more graffiti than I'd ever seen. This isn't coming out right. I saw a fuck ton in this one room, and it was more than I'd ever seen in any other bathroom. When I stopped at this like random gas station in rural Ohio, and I used the bathroom, and it was just like fucking floor to ceiling. Like people had written with Sharpies on the tile. Like people did not give a fuck, and I thought it was amazing.